my name's Sunny, and I recently got a Coros Pace Free, and I've been using it for the last 2 weeks. I've decided it's time to do the fitness test. The running fitness test on the Coros is renowned to be quite difficult actually. I've seen a few reviews online, a few people doing it, and yeah, apparently it's tough. I'm kind of excited to see what it's like. Let me tell you what the structure's like, so I'm going to read from the watch. So what I need to do is put in my most recent 10k time, and I've actually not ran a 10k in a while, but I think I could do it in 60 minutes if I pushed myself. So I'm going to put 56 to 60 minutes. Here's the structure for the test. We've got a 5-minute warm-up, 25 minutes at 6:35 to 6-minute pace. This is to determine my threshold heart rate. Then we've got a max heart rate test 1, and this is a 3-minute segment at 6 minutes at 5:30 pace. And then we've got another max heart rate test 2 to determine max heart rate, or the optimal test, to follow it if I've qualified for a higher intensity level. And then if I pass that test, then I'll go on to a third optional test, but I won't get to choose. My watch will choose for me if I get to do it. The reason I'm doing this test is to just get a gauge of my fitness level. For the past 6 weeks, I've just been running consistently easy miles at my zone 2 heart rate using the heart rate reserve method. And so far it's been going pretty good. And I've also been adding strides for the last 2 weeks onto the ends of my easy runs, just to pick up the turnover pace a little bit, inject some intensity onto my schedule. And yeah, I've been really enjoying it. And so today is going to be my first hard run since about September, to be honest. So I'm quite intrigued to see what this is going to be like. Let me show you my current stats for Coros, what it currently thinks I can run. I've been very conservative with my mileage because I'm coming back from injury. And that's exactly why you would do this test when you're coming back from injury. An objective measure of where you are, so then in a few months, you can test again and see if you've actually improved, if this training's been worth it. So right now we're on my dashboard. So for my few weeks of running, about 3 with the watch, it's rated my fitness score at a 67.8. And these are all of my paces it thinks I can handle. My actual current 5k PB, which I actually set a year ago, is 24 minutes and 24 seconds. It estimates my 10k at about 58 minutes, and my current PB is about 56 minutes. Half marathon, current PB is 2 hours and 1 minute, and I don't think I could actually run a half marathon right now. So yeah, what I'm really interested to see from this test are how my threshold heart rate zones are going to change and how my threshold pace zones are going to change. I've always trained with heart rate zones, but I recently changed to heart rate reserves, which I think is a lot better because it takes into account your max heart rate and your resting heart rate. So it's a more holistic and individual depiction of how fit you are and what your heart rate zones should be. You can talk about that for ages, but definitely look up if you're interested, heart rate reserves. I won't be filming mid-run because yeah, I don't have the skill for that, and I want to put my 100% attention to this. I was actually supposed to be running with my friend Ollie, and he's one of the guys who actually got me into running properly, but unfortunately he got crunched at football, so he won't be joining us today, but he definitely will be eventually. I'm going to walk to the track, warm up, do some strides, do some stretches, and then we'll go. I think these are my favourite running shoes that I've had so far. I got them off Vinted. So guys, if you're looking for new running shoes and you know what shoes already fit you, my friend already had a pair of Nike Pegasus and I put them on and I was like, yeah, these are comfy, I'm going to get a pair. I've actually not ran a fast race or a hard run in them yet. This will be the first time, but I've done a few easy miles. I usually just run in my On Clouds or my old Adidas Solar Glides, but I'm a big fan of these and I would recommend. These are the Pegasus 37s, for anyone wondering. Okay, so slight miscalculation. The running track is 45 minutes walk away, so I'm actually going to walk half, run half, and I'll use that as my warm-up instead, and I'll skip the warm-up when I start the test itself. Okay guys, we've made it to the track almost. One more stride and then I'm going to do my stretches, my dynamic stretches, then it's go time. I remember doing laps around this thing at a 10-minute pace per kilometre when I first started training zone 2. Oh, how far we've come. That's what we'd love to see, to be honest. Progress. Alright, gonna start it now. I'll catch you guys afterwards. That was an interesting test, guys. I just finished and then I did a cool down lap. I'll put the stats up on the page. We'll do a deeper dive later. But I think the test underestimated my fitness, because the hardest part was actually the first part, running for 25 minutes at my estimated marathon pace. But then the 10k section felt almost easier in a way. I found it quite easy to sustain that pace. And then the 5k part, I also found it quite easy to sustain that pace. And I was almost expecting it to give me another section. Remember, I mentioned before that there's an extra test if it feels like it wasn't pushing you hard enough. Obviously my heart rate was elevated, but my perceived exertion wasn't actually that high. I felt like I could have gone another gear further for another 3 minutes, and it wasn't hard enough almost, I want to say. Compared to the reactions that I've seen on YouTube, I wasn't feeling like those guys were looking at the end of their tests. Those are my post thoughts. Interesting. Is the next day after I did the test and finally got a moment to sit down, and I wanted to go through, break the numbers down with you. We can see that my running rating was 67.8, has actually increased by about 3 points, which is actually pretty cool. I'm almost tipping over into that next category. If we look over at my race predictors, I'm surprised they've not, like particularly the 5k, I'm surprised it's not lower. I do feel like I can actually finish faster than that. And I find it quite ironic that it says I can do basically a 2-hour half marathon at the moment, because it definitely doesn't feel like that. Before it was a 4-hour 43 marathon, and now it's a 4-hour 17 marathon. So that's 30 minutes faster, which is pretty cool. If anyone actually knows specifically, what does this mean in terms of, does that mean that I'd get that? Or does it mean after a bit of training, I'd be able to get that, or I should be aiming for that? Because yeah, I feel like the 5k one, I can kind of do that now, but even the marathon one, there's no way I'm running a marathon right now. My lactate threshold has apparently improved by 2 heartbeats. In most sections actually, it's bumped up all of my boundaries. What I'm most interested in, to be honest, are these threshold zone paces. Heart rate training is good for easy runs, but when you're trying to go faster, you can't really base it off heart rate as much, and so you need specific paces to hit. And because I'm coming out of that all easy pace phase in my return from injury, now entering in the base phase for the next 12 weeks, I need to use different metrics essentially. I need to diversify what I'm using to gauge my training and to direct my training. And the last thing I want to do is give you guys a play-by-play about what I was thinking whilst I was running. So let's go to the actual run itself. Okay, so on screen now you can see kind of the layout for the race itself. The fitness test itself is where I think I started the warm-up, and then I immediately skipped it. So yeah, that's that part. Okay, so the first part of the test was running for 25 minutes at my estimated marathon pace, which was 6 minutes 10 per kilometer. I think this was actually the hardest part of the test, because I've not ran any harder than easy pace for the last 6 weeks. Hard running that I have done are 20-second surges. What are they called? Strides. Holding this pace I actually found quite difficult. At first it felt like I was going too fast, then I slowed down, then I almost went too slow, then I sped up, then I almost went too fast. And the thing with this test is that if you go outside of the window for too long, then it says you failed the test. I don't know what happens if you fail the test, but all I know is that's not good, you know? And so I really didn't want to fail the test, so staying within this was actually quite difficult, I found. But eventually I settled in the rhythm. Eventually I got quite comfortable sitting at that pace, but it was hard around this middle section.
and then I was just kind of just counting down the seconds until the 10k part started. The window I was aiming for in the marathon section was 6-minute 35 to 6-minute pace, and the pace I was aiming for in the 10k section was 6 minutes to 5:30 pace. And this one, it was getting to pace that was hard, but actually holding the pace I found quite comfortable, and I felt like I could have actually gone for longer at that pace. And even when I went to the 5k test, accelerating to this 5k pace of 5:30 to 5 minutes per kilometer was the hard part. Actually holding the pace I didn't find difficult, and I thought that the test was going to give me another section, like I said, right after finishing the test, but it didn't, and I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, I'm not really spent on this. Wasn't as hard as I was expecting, but maybe it wasn't supposed to be hard, you know. If we have a look at my heart rate, we can see it basically doesn't change between the 10k section and the 5k section. Well, actually that's quite funny, because when we look at power, wait, let me remove heart rate. Oh no, even the power changes. But yeah, I thought the power wouldn't change because my heart rate didn't change, but apparently, yeah, my heart rate just didn't change. It bumped up to the 190s, the low 190s at that for the 10k pace, but even when I increased it for the 5k, it just stayed there, which was fine for me. And then yeah, I ended the test there. Very cool test. I definitely look forward to doing this again in the next few months and seeing what my score goes to. Thank you guys for watching. More content soon. Make sure you subscribe. See you later.